The baseball world is sleeping on what could be the most lopsided trade of the 2026 season, and the Toronto Blue Jays are quietly positioning themselves to rob the Houston Astros blind. While everyone's been obsessing over which superstar slugger is going where, a bombshell report has just dropped that reveals Toronto's front office has identified the perfect missing piece to transform their bullpen from mediocre to absolutely dominant. And here's the kicker. They can probably get him without giving up anything that'll make fans lose sleep at night. We're talking about Bryan Abreu, the Houston Astros' 28-year-old relief ace who just posted one of the most electric seasons you'll see from a setup man. This isn't some washed-up veteran looking for one last paycheck or an unproven rookie with question marks. This is a pitcher entering his absolute prime who throws gas, racks up strikeouts like he's playing a video game, and has the kind of advanced metrics that make analytics nerds weak in the knees. The Blue Jays need him. Houston might actually be willing to let him go. And the price tag? It's almost criminal how cheap this could be. According to Blue Jays Nation analyst Thomas Hall, a respected voice who's broken legitimate stories before, Toronto should be going all in on acquiring Abreu before someone else wakes up and realizes what a steal he represents. Hall isn't some random blogger throwing spaghetti at the wall. He's had legitimate scoops on minor league signings and roster moves, and when he speaks, people inside the organization tend to listen. His latest column makes the case that Abreu isn't just a luxury addition for the Jays. He's a necessity, the kind of high-leverage weapon that could be the difference between watching October baseball from home and hoisting the Commissioner's Trophy. Let's talk numbers, because Abreu's 2025 season was nothing short of spectacular. He posted a 2.28 ERA across more than 70 appearances, which in today's game is practically Hall of Fame territory for a reliever. But ERA can be fluky, right? Guys get lucky with timely double plays or gold glove defenders bailing them out. That's why you've got to dig into the peripherals, the advanced stats that separate the pretenders from the legitimate studs. And holy hell, does Abreu pass that test with flying colors. His fastball sits at 97 miles per hour, which immediately puts him in the elite velocity tier. In an era where every team is chasing high-octane arms, Abreu brings the kind of heat that makes hitters uncomfortable before they even step into the box. But velocity alone doesn't cut it anymore. You need stuff, the kind of movement and deception that generates whiffs and weak contact. Abreu's got that in spades. His whiff rate sits in the 90th percentile, meaning he's blowing past hitters at a rate that only the absolute best in baseball can match. His strikeout numbers are through the roof, consistently punching out batters at a clip that makes him one of the most dominant arms in high-leverage situations. Here's where it gets even better. Abreu's fielding independent pitching, or FIP, came in at 2.39 last season. For those not fluent in sabermetrics, FIP strips away everything a pitcher can't control, things like defense and luck on balls in play, and focuses purely on what the pitcher does: strikeouts, walks, and home runs. A 2.39 FIP means Abreu isn't some smoke and mirrors guy who got lucky with soft contact. He's legitimately elite at missing bats and avoiding hard contact. Even if he regresses slightly, and all players do year to year, he's almost certainly going to post an ERA south of 3.00, which in today's offensive environment is borderline unhittable. Now let's talk about why Toronto desperately needs a guy like this. The Blue Jays had a solid offseason on paper. They added Munetaka Murakami, who everyone's calling Okamoto now, a legitimate middle-of-the-order bat who can change games with one swing. If Anthony Santander re-signs, which seems increasingly likely, they've got another 30-home run threat protecting their core hitters. The lineup looks dangerous, capable of hanging with anyone in the American League East. But here's the problem. Offense wins regular season games, pitching wins championships, and Toronto's bullpen has more holes than Swiss cheese. Yes, they brought in Tyler Rogers, a crafty veteran who knows how to get outs. But Rogers isn't a strikeout pitcher. He's a ground ball specialist, a guy who induces weak contact and relies on his defense to clean up. That's valuable, don't get me wrong, but it's not the kind of weapon you want in a one-run game in the 9th inning against the Yankees' Murderers Row. The Jays have Jeff Hoffman, who's solid but inconsistent. They've got Genesis Cabrera returning from injury, which is great, but nobody knows if he'll be the same dominant force he was before he got hurt. And they lost Chad Green, their high-velocity weapon, who could blow heaters past hitters in crucial spots. That's the gap Abreu fills. He's the guy you can trust when the game is on the line, when you absolutely, positively cannot allow a run to score. His pitch mix is devastating. A four-seam fastball that hitters can't catch up to, a slider that drops off the table, and a sinker that generates ground balls when he needs them. Last year, he notched 7 saves, proving he can handle 9th inning pressure if needed. But his real value is flexibility. He can close games, sure, but he can also dominate in the 8th inning, bridge to your closer, or come in during a high-leverage middle innings jam and strand runners. That versatility is gold in the playoffs when traditional roles go out the window and managers need their best arms regardless of the inning. So why would Houston even consider trading this guy? Simple. Money and roster construction. Abreu is entering his final year of arbitration, which means he's due roughly $6 million this season. That's a steal for production like his, but here's the catch. After 2026, he's a free agent, and he's going to command serious money on the open market. The Astros, despite their success, aren't exactly swimming in financial flexibility. They've got massive contracts on the books, and with ownership reportedly tightening the purse strings, Houston's front office has to make hard decisions about which pieces to keep and which to cash in while they still have value. Additionally, the Astros need outfield help. Their outfield depth took a hit this winter, and they're reportedly exploring options to add quality bats and defensive upgrades. The Blue Jays, meanwhile, have outfielders coming out of their ears. Nathan Lukes, Davis Schneider, Joey Loperfido, these are all guys with major league experience who don't have clear everyday roles in Toronto. The Jays are stacked in the outfield to the point where they're going to have to make tough roster decisions anyway. Why not package one of those guys, maybe throw in a mid-tier prospect, and land yourself a legitimate shutdown reliever? Let's game out what a potential trade package might look like. Joey Loperfido seems like the most natural fit. He's a former Astros farmhand, so Houston's front office knows him intimately. They drafted him, developed him, and saw his potential firsthand before trading him to Toronto. There's existing familiarity and trust there, which greases the wheels on trades. Loperfido has legitimate tools. He can play multiple positions, has some pop in his bat, and still has minor league options remaining. For Houston, he represents controllable depth they can plug into their outfield rotation immediately or stash in AAA as insurance. Alternatively, the Jays could offer Nathan Lukes, a 28-year-old journeyman who's bounced around the league but has shown flashes of being a solid fourth outfielder. He's not going to wow anyone, but he's a professional hitter who can fill in when injuries hit. Or maybe Davis Schneider, who had a hot start to his major league career before cooling off considerably. Schneider still has upside, still has tools, and still has team control. Any of these guys plus a back-end prospect, someone ranked between 10 and 15 in Toronto's farm system, probably gets the deal done. Here's why this is such a no-brainer for the Blue Jays. Their prospect system, which was barren and depressing just a few years ago, has been restocked significantly. They've got depth now, legitimate talent coming through the pipeline. Giving up a mid-tier prospect doesn't gut the future the way it would have 3 years ago. And the outfielders they'd be trading? They're redundant pieces, guys who don't have clear paths to playing time on a roster that's trying to win now. You're trading from a position of surplus to address a position of desperate need. That's Asset Management 101. Ross Atkins, Toronto's president of baseball operations, hinted earlier this offseason that Jeff Hoffman isn't necessarily married to the closer role. That's front office speak for, we're still shopping for bullpen help and we're open to whatever roles make sense. If the Jays land Abreu, suddenly you've got legitimate options. Maybe Abreu becomes the closer, using his high-octane stuff to slam the door in the ninth. Maybe Hoffman stays in that role and Abreu dominates the eighth, giving you a ridiculous 1-2 punch that opposing lineups have to navigate. Either way, you're looking at a bullpen featuring Abreu, Hoffman, Rogers, and Cabrera as your core high-leverage arms. That's a championship-caliber relief corps, the kind of group that can shut down the Yankees, Orioles, or Red Sox when games get tight. Speaking of the competition, let's talk about the American League East, because this division is going to be an absolute bloodbath. The Yankees still have Aaron Judge, the best player on the planet, and they've surrounded him with enough talent to compete for the pennant. The Orioles went on an absolute spending spree, adding Peter Alonso, Christian Walker, and several other big names to an already loaded roster. The Red Sox made moves too, though they're still a tier below the top contenders. And then there's Toronto, a team that made the World Series last year without Corbin Burns, who was hurt for most of the season, without Corey Kluber finding his groove until late, and without several key bats performing to their potential. Now imagine that same team, but with Shane Bieber healthy all season, with Tristan Savage showing what he can do over a full campaign, with Murakami adding thunder to the middle of the lineup, and potentially with Santander back as well. The projections from Zips, one of the most respected forecasting systems in baseball, actually have the Blue Jays finishing first in the American League East. That's not a homer take from a Canadian sports blogger. That's a sophisticated algorithm crunching hundreds of variables and concluding that Toronto has the talent to run the division. But projections don't mean anything if the bullpen implodes in big spots. We've seen this story before. A team stacks talent, looks unstoppable on paper, then watches their season circle the drain because their relievers can't hold leads. The 2024 Phillies, the 2023 Padres, the list goes on. Elite bullpens don't just help you win close games, they fundamentally change how you can deploy your roster. They allow your starters to go 5 or 6 innings instead of having to grind through 7. They let you use your best arms in the highest leverage spots regardless of inning. They demoralize opposing lineups by showing them there's no margin for error once the starter exits. That's what Abreu brings. He's not just another arm. He's a game changer, a guy who can turn a shaky bullpen into a weapon. And the best part? He's affordable in every sense of the word. $6 million for this season is nothing in today's market, where mediocre middle relievers are getting twice that in free agency. And the trade cost, assuming it's an outfielder Toronto doesn't need plus a mid-level prospect, is equally reasonable. This isn't the Blue Jays gutting their farm system for an aging star on the downslope of his career. This is them trading surplus for immediate impact. The kind of deal smart organizations make when they're trying to maximize their championship window. There's also the possibility that Toronto could extend Abreu if he thrives in his new role. He's 28, entering his prime years, and if he continues producing at this level, locking him up long-term makes all the sense in the world. But even if they don't, even if he walks after 2026, you've gotten 1 year of elite bullpen help during a season where the Jays are going all in. That's worth the cost by itself. Let's not forget the context here either. The Blue Jays are operating in one of baseball's toughest divisions, in a market that demands results, with a core that's running out of time. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette are entering their prime years, but they're also approaching free agency. The window isn't closing yet, but it's not going to stay open forever either. This is the time to be aggressive, to take calculated risks, to turn good rosters into great ones by identifying inefficiencies in the trade market. Bryan Abreu represents exactly that kind of opportunity. He's a proven commodity at an affordable price, playing for a team that might value roster flexibility and outfield help more than 1 year of a reliever. For Toronto, he's the missing piece that elevates their bullpen from question mark to strength. This is the heist of the century waiting to happen, and if Ross Atkins and his front office can pull it off, they'll have set themselves up perfectly for a championship run. So here's the bottom line. The Blue Jays need bullpen help. Bryan Abreu is elite, affordable, and potentially available. The trade cost is negligible given Toronto's outfield surplus and improved farm system. This deal makes too much sense not to happen, and if it does, you're looking at a team that can legitimately win the World Series. Keep your eyes on this one, folks. Something special might be brewing. If you love this breakdown, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you think the Jays should give up to land Abreu. Should they part with Loperfido? Is Schneider expendable? Or would you rather they stand pat and hope their current bullpen figures it out? Drop your takes below. And don't forget to subscribe because we're covering every twist and turn of this wild offseason. The Blue Jays are building something special, and you don't want to miss a single moment. See you in the next one.